You're having dinner with some friends, there's a blackout, and then a loud knock at the door. What could this be that would be worth making a movie about?
Tuna, it must be Miller's Comet.
Coherence is a drama/thriller from 2013 made by a director you've probably never heard of, 8 actors you've probably never heard of, a $50,000 budget, and filmed over 8 nights. And man, was that 50 grand and 8 nights well spent. And as much as it sounds like a cop-out to say, it is one of those movies that you just don't want to know anything about before you watch it. That is to say, the slightest spoiler, which I'll not be giving away here, can really mess up what the filmmakers so masterfully create. So if you go and look up what it's about or anything like that, you have ruined it for yourself. Don't do that. I like everything about this movie. It's one of those movies that when I watch the preview, I just think, oh man, I need to watch this movie again, even though I've seen it like 5 times. Now for things that I dislike. Well, I guess you would expect me to say nothing. There is, however, one aspect of the plot that I can't quite match up with another thing they say in the dialogue. It's just one thing that I keep failing to understand exactly how it works. If you want to know what it is, leave a comment, but that wraps it up for things I do not like. So moving straight on with component ratings. This is where I break a film into its 4 major components. That is plot, aesthetics, sound and score, script and delivery. Starting with the plot. A lot of people out there seem to have some technical gripe with the plot that, without giving anything away, sounds to me basically like saying, oh, I don't like Lord of the Rings because hobbits and orcs don't exist. In this movie, the premise of the movie exists. For me, the plot is about as perfect as they come, minus that thing I mentioned before, which actually may be my own misunderstanding. So I'm still going to give the plot 5 out of 5 because it's not even worth deducting half a mark for. So moving on with aesthetics. It's actually shot in a very lo-fi style, handheld, basic lighting, shifting focus, stuff like that, but it never goes so far as to actually look amateurish. And that's impressive considering it's almost entirely shot in one room. The use of the camera, both as an impartial observer and for various points of view of the different characters, is in my opinion masterful. The editing is a lot more skillful than it might appear at first glance, so aesthetics is also a 5 from me.
The man in my house is not my husband. And then the police came over and they said, this is your husband. She said, no, this is not my husband. I killed my husband yesterday.
Awesome.
That's how I know it's not him.
Awesome.
But they couldn't arrest her because he was standing right there in front of them.
Do they have any theories of why?
How lucky she is, she gets to kill him again.
So moving on to sound and score, and this is one of the most surprising aspects to me, which is that even the score nails it. Often these low-budget films end up with scores that really just don't suit them, especially if they've got the kind of content that this movie does, which is basically a heap of dialogue. But this almost unheard of Norwegian composer, Kristin Oren Dyrud, absolutely nails it. Then we have the sound itself. I've often said that movies that are most suited to having a good surround sound system are not actually the big action blockbusters, but rather movies with much more subtle soundscapes, such as this one, and this is no exception. I've mentioned the score, but there's also a lot of conversation, and in particular, a lot of characters talking over the top of each other. The thing is, if you listen carefully, you can actually make out what each character is saying. I think this movie works particularly well in surround sound, but overall, it's another 5 from me on sound.
He's one in person, it just doesn't compute. I don't know.
No, he's sort of run into his face.
You really have.
Yeah,
He's flushed it out.
Your face.
Check it out again. I'm sure, you know, like the downward dog probably gets to your
I
head.
didn't do yoga, that wasn't. Yeah.
Well, hey, listen. Thanks for enjoying the show.
So moving on with script and delivery, and this is another aspect that I just find some bizarre thoughts on out there. It seems to me like people are saying they didn't follow the rules and therefore script and delivery doesn't work, but I would say the exact opposite. They used an unorthodox method and it came off perfectly. For me, it's no doubt a 5 for script and delivery.
Still not have service?
I haven't even checked.
My phone is completely broken.
I'm living in the moment, but
Oh. Nothing.
I got 0.
It's weird. Maybe the
Do I need to
tower's
go check?
down.
I'm sure I have none.
The tower's down? Like,
I mean, it's not
telling you
functioning.
guys.
It's not down.
that would be a big news story.
So that brings our grand total of technical components to a perfect 20. I may be rounding up a quarter of a mark on the plot, but then I also need to say how much I enjoy it, because a film can be perfect but actually do very little for me. So I also give it a rating out of 10 just to say how much I enjoy it. And there's no hiding it, I love this movie, but it's not my favorite movie. There are films I enjoy slightly more, so I'm giving it 9 out of 10 for enjoyment factor, which brings my grand total to 29 out of 30, which is ridiculous, but I do absolutely adore this movie. Having said all that, the opinion out there generally seems to be, yeah, it's definitely good, but it's not brilliant. They've gotten a few things wrong. I disagree, obviously. If you think I've missed something, then definitely let me know. I love to discuss movies with people all the time. If you haven't seen it, then go and see it. Find it, get it, anywhere, I don't care. See the movie, come back to me, let me know what you think. I actually think it's on the cult status waiting list, so see it before it makes that status so you're not just accused of being a bandwagoner. I do also want to do something today which I'm going to try and do every time, which is to mention a movie that is similar. In this case, I think a strong comparison can be made between this and a movie called The Invitation. Saw it the other night. To put it lightly, I was underwhelmed, but I'm sure a lot of people out there think it's better than Coherence. So if you want to see what I mean, then go and see them both for yourself and let me know what you think.
When you say the stars.
The review's over. What do you want? More? If you want more, like and subscribe.